Happy training camp day and welcome to another episode of Hornets Daily, your one-stop shop for all things Charlotte Hornets. As always, represented by the good people over at FanArc, and I'm your host, Vance Ballard, but you already know you can call me VB. I want to thank everybody for joining us today, watching along with us. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, leave a like and a comment down in the comment section. I do read all the comments, checking on you guys, love interacting, hear what you have to say about what's going on the program as we continue to grow and build this Hornets Daily family here on the show. Now, we've got a packed show today. Media Day was yesterday. That fueled some of the hype going into training camp. Charles Lee sat down. We're going to take a look at what he had to say, especially talking about improving the Hornets' offense. I had some takeaways from LaMelo Ball's sit down with the media as well, and then we'll talk about the official start of training camp here on today's program. Going to be a packed show. Got a lot of buzz going on in the Queen City. It's an exciting time. We're finally going to get to see the Hornets on the court with the preseason coming up on Sunday. It's going to be a lot of fun. Charles Lee and company have a lot of work to do, and on the eve of training camp, the Hornets sat down and spoke with the media for the NBA's Media Day. Players and coaches spoke about their expectations, their excitement as well. It matched that of the fan base that we've been talking a lot about all summer. It's not just the fan base here that feels the optimism, that feels the excitement going into this camp, into this season. Every player that sat down and spoke offered up a reason why they think this team can be better than last year's team, and there was a lot of optimism, a lot of guys talking about the talent. A lot of the buzzwords we've heard all summer were repeated over and over again. Competitiveness was one that was dropped a lot. We know that Jeff Peterson and Charles Lee talked about that all leading up to the draft process. They said that was the main reason why most of the guys they drafted were the guys they drafted. Their hyper competitiveness, their talent, their basketball IQs. We heard Spencer Dinwiddie sit down and rave about his time so far in Charlotte. He complimented the roster heavily. He said he disagrees with all of the media and writing coming out saying that the Hornets have a bottom tier level talent on their roster. He said he disagrees with that so far throughout his time in Charlotte. And one of the more exciting things that we heard was pretty much everyone confirmed that the whole team has basically already been together and in Charlotte in the building for about a month now. So just because training camp starts today, that does not mean the team hasn't already had their time to mesh a little bit, getting on the court and building a rapport together, which we've heard already be talked about this summer as well. It's just nice to have it confirmed yesterday on Media Day. Con Knipple sat down and talked about how they've all been he agreed they've all been in the building for a month. He talked about this week was just ramping it up, was the actual quote that he used. He said they've been practicing together, but now it's finally time to get things going and get a full go, get everyone on the court together, play some actual basketball as the preseason starts on Sunday. There was also some love given to Khan's surprised dunking ability. Admittedly, LaMelo Ball was surprised by Khan's ability to throw it down, as he said, or as they said yesterday, which is nice to know that Khan's a little more athletic than people may think. He can sneak up and surprise some people. He said he was planning on doing that himself in his sit-down interview. So it was just good to see everyone excited. The buzz was floating around. Everybody was very optimistic about coming into this summer, or about coming into this training camp, about the things that the Hornets have done this summer. And again, the buzzwords were on repeat, and that is a very good thing. Brandon Miller sat down and told us he's 100% ready to go for training camp. He's going to be a full participant. That was fantastic news to hear. It was reconfirmed yesterday that Josh Green and Grant Williams do not have an exact timeline on their injuries. Josh Green confirmed, kind of led us on to believe that he was playing through that shoulder injury at times last season. He said that he didn't, when he was asked when it crept up on him, he made it sound like it started last season, and it's just been something that lingered throughout the offseason until he decided to just go ahead and get it fixed. So his timeline's still a little bit uncertain as well. We kind of estimated Grant Williams' return somewhere around Christmas time, maybe a little bit after. It's starting to look like it could be earlier than that with his on-the-court work that he's been doing. He will not be participating in training camp, though, as we already knew. We confirmed that. But Brandon Miller will be a 100% participant. That is good to hear. He'll wear some wrist tape, but he talked about how he's done that before in his career. He said he's been taping his wrist all summer, so he's getting used to it. He used to tape his wrist in high school, he said, so that's something that shouldn't bother him. Not going to be much of a hindrance. It's nice to see Brandon Miller to be 100% ready to go for training camp. He'll have no limitations or restrictions, so he'll be ready to continue to build and mesh with this team some more and improve and get better and get ready to go for the regular season. Again, a lot of the guys' talk was reflective of basically everything we've been saying this summer. They talked about spacing the floor. They talked about the new talent that's been added. They talked about building rapport with the team. They talked about the Hornets' DNA and the competitiveness of this roster. Again, things we've been saying over and over again this entire offseason, this whole summer. And I know it's the beginning of a new season, and everyone is always optimistic at this point in the year. There's still a lot of what-ifs. The hope and the excitement is still fresh. It's still there. There's still reason for everyone to be excited, but it's not just the fans. It's the players and the coaches as well that are feeling that optimism. They should. This team feels a little bit different, especially going in to training camp and getting ready for the preseason and regular season. The optimism, I think, is real, and we'll find out if it's warranted come starting today and going forwards into the regular season. Now, obviously, Charles Lee sat down and spoke with the media yesterday as well, and he said a lot of the same things that the players did, emphasizing his readiness to get going, emphasizing that he's been here with the guys for the past month, sitting down, watching some film with the players, building leadership, working on, again, the team chemistry and just getting the guys together, this rebuilt roster, and forming those relationships on and off the court. He spoke as well about the competitiveness. We know that's something he's been raving about all summer. He said it over and over again yesterday. He did say what I found very interesting, a little bit reaffirming, a little bit assuring that he believes this and is going to move forward and work with the bigs that he has. He said, quote, "We have a great group of bigs." So he raved about the centers that are on the roster. Obviously, a coach is supposed to do that. He's going to talk good about the guys that he has. But he sounded like he was serious. He sounded like he meant it when he went over. He highlighted all three of the centers and their differences, the things they do well, the reasons they could be on the court, what's going to happen, what's the game plan going to look like when they are on the court, how good Mason Plumlee can be in certain situations, where Musa can thrive in certain situations. And then he talked about the fieriness, the competitiveness, and the improvement that he's seen from Ryan Kalkbrenner since both Creighton, the Summer League, and now in this last month since the team has been together and working out. So he's it did instill a little bit more confidence in that position in me. Honestly, it sounded like Charles Lee meant what he had to say about the centers, and he really does think that if this is the group that they're going to go forwards with this season, he thinks that they can get the most out of them, and maybe even they can overachieve. If that's what I was taking from it, that's the read I got from Charles Lee talking about that group, that position group yesterday at Media Day. One of the most interesting takeaways from Charles Lee's talks was his new quote unquote new approach to the offense. He had some new plans, a new style to improve the offense. He talked a lot about the pace and space and how they're going to be important. They're two very important aspects of a new philosophy for the Hornets offense going forwards. Now, of course, that's not a shocker by any means. It was obvious with every move they made, with every draft pick they selected, that the Hornets were going to try and space the floor. After their abysmal, if for lack of a better word, shooting performance last year, the Hornets really struggled to get shots to go in. So adding guys who can space the floor, who can knock down those open jump shots, was a major priority all summer. And I think, based at least on paper, based on the guys that they added, they took care of a lot of those issues. They added a bunch of shooters. They added a lot of guys who can really open the floor up, create space, and get to their spots and find and knock down those open shots. Lee also talked about the Hornets improving their pace, which we know last year was another thorn in their side. They were 23rd in the NBA in pace last season, and let's be honest, they were not an elite defensive squad either, so that's just not enough possessions for a team that struggles to stop other teams and then doesn't get the ball very often themselves. Lee said he plans to let his players take advantage of their opponents by pushing the pace and running significantly more this season. He says they're going to focus heavily on inbounding the ball quicker. They're going to focus on letting the guards create paint touches, and they're going to improve their conditioning, be better at passing, and make everybody a threat on the court. He said those were some of the goals he's going to work on in training camp and in practice throughout this preseason before we get into the regular season. He drew inspiration during his talk. He said he's drawing some inspiration from the Pacers and their, quote, breakneck pace and willingness to move the ball. So that's obviously not a bad team to take some inspiration from. We know the success that the Pacers have had here in recent years. So if the Hornets can improve, and Lee believes they have the ability to match that sort of style that the Pacers play, that's up-tempo type style of basketball, a lot of passing, a lot of moving the ball, a lot of knocking down the open shots, creating that space that we've talked about all summer that's just being reaffirmed over and over again by Coach Charles Lee and others at Media Day yesterday. And again, these are not shocking revelations, because that's something we've been begging for, we've been clamoring for a long time, honestly, is for the Hornets to pick up the pace. But now it sounds like they're actually taking the necessary steps and have the goals and want to do just that. That seems like it's going to be a priority for the Hornets offensively this season, is to pick up the pace, move the ball a little bit better, make smarter passes, not turn it over, and let LaMelo and Brandon Miller and Con Knipple, Colin Sexton, Spencer Dinwiddie, even Liam McNeely and Sion James, the guys who can pass the basketball, who have that vision, who have those high basketball IQs and don't turn it over very often. Let them work in space. Let them help the shooters around them create the space, hit them for their open shots. And then, of course, the Hornets, they have to knock down those open shots, which is another priority that they have focused heavily on throughout the offseason. So again, like I say, nothing crazy coming out of Charles Lee's mouth, nothing shocking, nothing that we haven't talked about all summer, but it is nice to hear him reassure us that the things we've been clamoring for, the things we've been saying, are also the things that he's been thinking that the organization has been striving to do, and it feels nice for everyone to kind of be on the same page, and hopefully the Hornets can actually take those steps and pick up the pace and space the floor a little bit better and move the ball and improve their offensive game from last year, which I think will also help on the defensive end of the floor as well. Now, my favorite press conference from yesterday was LaMelo Ball, and it's for different reasons. We've seen the recent photos. We've heard everyone say it, but when he sat down yesterday, LaMelo does really actually look bigger and stronger. He seems like he is in good shape. Everything we've heard about him being in the gym, about him working on his body, has actually paid off. He said it himself. He feels stronger and better, quote, all around. He said he's been working on his upper body and his lower body, so there's not really there wasn't really a region or an area where he said he felt stronger than the other. He's been working all offseason on both his upper and lower body, so he feels better all around again, as he said. I was also glad to hear him say he and Charles Lee have sat down. They've been watching a lot of film together. They've been working hard this offseason to grow his leadership ability on the team as well. They've been working on him becoming a better leader, not just on the court, but off of it as well. And that's nice to hear from LaMelo, who is getting into his veteran years here in the NBA, especially as part of this roster that's very young. We've got 4 rookie draft picks and a lot of guys that are just younger than LaMelo Ball, who sits at 25 right now, which on this team is a veteran. Like I said, he spoke about his new running mate. He was very complimentary of Colin Sexton when he sat down as well. He spoke about the grit, and he talked about the dog inside of Colin Sexton that he has seen so far early in this offseason, as Sexton has been in Charlotte since pretty much the day after he got traded. He's been hard in the gym. He's been working out. He's been a part of the team that's been there for this month leading up to training camp as well. He said that they have started to build that rapport that we've heard them talk about in the media. He said they have talked, they hang out together, and they have been in workouts. He said that he thinks Colin Sexton is going to help not only him but the entire team improve. He said having a guy like that on the floor makes everyone better and gets them to play to his level, gets them to step their intensity up and play the way that he does. That his style of play is infectious and it rubs off on everyone. LaMelo also agreed that the added shooters will be able to space the floor. He spoke about the space and the improved pacing and the up-tempo style that this roster can play, as well as Charles Lee. He kind of repeated some of those things, which again just confirms that they have been sitting down. They are on the same page, and they're moving forward together as well, which you want to see from your star player and your head coach, them being on the same page, them moving in the offseason, getting together and building their relationship. Again, this is just Charles Lee's second year here, so he's still trying to work and get to know and fully understand all of the guys he has. It's nice to know that that's actually been taking place, and they are, again, on the same page. LaMelo said having the shooters around him, having the guys open up the floor really opens up the game for him, having those guys around that can knock down the shots. He thinks it'll make the game a little bit easier for him to work. Again, like we've talked about, he can use his passing ability a little bit more. He can drive to the hole now as the floor is a little more open. There's not as many guys in the paint, with the floor being spaced out a little bit better. He said he too thinks the Hornets can be an up-tempo team. He talked about how the roster has improved with the ball handlers, with the shooters that have been added, and he thinks that that'll help them speed up the pace, get more possessions throughout the season, and be better overall on offense. As I mentioned, this was my favorite press conference of the media day, but not just because it's LaMelo, but because LaMelo looks and sounds the part. He looks locked in, he sounds locked in, and it seems like he is committed to actually improving his game on both ends of the floor, being that leader that the Hornets need him to be from their superstar, and getting himself back to playing at an all-star level. There's been criticism of LaMelo all summer, we know that. Most recently, he was called someone who doesn't seem interested in winning. Again, that goes back to what David Thorpe was saying last week. He said that LaMelo just doesn't seem like he's invested in winning. He doesn't seem like he cares about playing winning basketball. But that's not what I heard yesterday. That's not the guy who sat down at Media Day for Charlotte yesterday. He sounded like a guy who is committed to helping his team win, and maybe my favorite quote of everything LaMelo said yesterday, he was asked about he was asked about his best years coming playing alongside Terry Rozier. He was asked about getting back to playing with another guard like that with Colin Sexton and Spencer Dinwiddie, and the way LaMelo answered the question was, quote, "I'm just excited to get back to playing basketball, period." And again, that was probably my favorite quote from LaMelo of the day. Again, it just to me reassures and confirms that he is ready to go. He's locked in, and this season is going to be a little bit different for him. We're going to see a different LaMelo on the floor. Now, I'm sure we'll see some one-legged three-pointers. We'll see him continue to play his style of basketball because that's just who he is. But I think he's going to be a little bit smarter. I think the offensive efficiency that we've been talking about at length this summer, I think that's going to improve. He will be able to utilize those shooters. He seems ready to do so, and he's going to work a lot better with the openness and spacing on the floor. Now, training camp officially kicks off today. We have made it through the entire summer. We've gotten excited. We've built our hope. We've got our optimism high. The media day, as I mentioned, only fueled that optimism, only sparked the flames for that hype, and it's finally time to get to work on the court. It was said again all throughout media day that the team has basically been here for a month, and now it's just really time to ramp it up and get things going. The first preseason game is on Sunday, and there's a whole lot to do before we get there. It's going to be very interesting to see how Charles Lee handles this rotation. He said yesterday Mason Plumlee was not around. He had an excused absence, so we didn't get to hear from him. But we still have to figure out how that center rotation is going to work. As I mentioned, Charles Lee raved about all three of them, so he wasn't really clear with who the starter is going to be just yet. We'll wait till later through training camp and on to Sunday to see who trots out for the first preseason game at the starting five position. It's going to be interesting to see how Charles Lee handles the Con Knipple and Colin Sexton rotation, which one of those guys is going to start. As you know, I have said many times I think it should be Colin Sexton to start on opening night. Just give Con some time to come off the bench and develop his game a little bit better that way. Again, I think right now LaMelo and Colin Sexton are a better option at the 1 and 2. Play Brandon Miller at the 3. Miles Bridges at the 4 and Moussa Diabate at the 5 would be my starting lineup if I had to pick one for the Hornets, but we'll see what Charles Lee throws out as we get further along into training camp. We now get to find out if all of our hope and optimism is actually warranted. We know the excitement around this team is as high as it's been in a very long time. There's a lot of expectations with not only the rookies that are drafted, but the new additions that have come in. Is Colin Sexton going to earn more than more than a 1-year deal here with the Hornets? He's on his final year of his contract. Is he going to be able to play enough and make a big enough impact to stick around? How will Spencer Dinwiddie impact this team? And the biggest question going into training camp, obviously, is going to be who is the final guy to get cut. We know that we're going to find all of those things out as this week progresses. As the preseason unfolds, the Hornets still have to get that roster number down to 15 before the regular season. So someone is playing on a tryout basis right now. We're going to wait and see who that is going to be. We'll obviously know much more about the first day of training camp tomorrow, and we will have it all for you right here on tomorrow's episode of Hornets Daily. As always, thanks for watching so much out there today, joining along with us. Be sure, if you haven't already, smash that subscribe button, leave a like and a comment. Let me know your thoughts on Media Day. What do you think going into training camp as it begins today? What do you hope to see from the Hornets moving into the preseason? We enjoy interacting with you guys. And again, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you tomorrow on a brand new episode of Hornets Daily.